Edge has put out a big WrestleMania Open challenge, so we'll see who's rumored to take that spot. We'll also see what's going on with Alexa Bliss, another possible Bella Twins return, and more. Let's start things off with Edge and his big WrestleMania Open challenge. Ever since returning a few years ago, Edge has been used in a lot of great storylines and feuds. He had his long feuds with Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and most recently, The Miz. All these storylines were great in their own way. We saw Edge go down some personal routes with some of the storylines, such as the Randy Orton and Seth Rollins feuds. We saw him compete at the main event level with Roman Reigns, and we even saw him compete along with his wife, Beth Phoenix, for the first time. So this return run has been pretty solid so far for Edge. Edge has been on Raw since the most recent draft, but he really hasn't feuded with anyone outside of The Miz over these last few months. So there's still a lot of fresh opponents for him on Raw. That leads us to his WrestleMania Open challenge. Edge recently appeared on Raw and talked about what he's looking for with his WrestleMania 38 opponent. Of course, he dropped some keywords in there such as the word phenomenal, a direct reference to AJ Styles. AJ Styles versus Edge has been a highly talked about possibility by the fans over the last few weeks, and that Raw promo by Edge was received by many as being confirmation that we'll see that match. But of course, at this very time, the match hasn't been fully confirmed, but AJ Styles is definitely leading the pack. Some fans argued, well, what if Edge using the word phenomenal was just to mislead us? And that's true as well, that can be a possibility. Just look at what they did with The Miz using the word dashing to describe his WrestleMania partner, obviously meant to throw us off and think about Cody Rhodes. So, was Edge using the word phenomenal also meant to mislead us into thinking AJ Styles when it's actually not him? It's definitely a possibility. So hypothetically speaking, if it's not AJ Styles, then who could it possibly be? Well, a big name that's still lurking around the WWE scene is of course Cody Rhodes. Fans have suggested if Cody Rhodes could be that big challenger for Edge as well. Cody continues to be a big name that's all over the rumors. Fans are throwing out Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, Edge versus Cody Rhodes, just all these possible big returning matches for Cody if he really is coming back to WWE. Other fans have suggested a triple threat match between Edge, AJ Styles, and Cody Rhodes. So the possibilities are truly endless. We'll have to wait and see who ends up being that WrestleMania opponent for Edge. The Bella Twins are officially members of the WWE Hall of Fame, and both are officially cleared for in-ring action. We saw the Bellas make a brief cameo appearance during the Royal Rumble match, but obviously they didn't stick around after that short appearance. But Nikki Bella expressed that even though she doesn't picture herself ever coming back to WWE full-time, that there's still a lot that she wants to accomplish inside the ring. One of those things being the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. These tag team titles were being first introduced right around the time of Nikki Bella's injury, and right around the time that the Bellas were taking that long hiatus away from WWE, so they missed out on those titles. It was reported that the Bellas were originally set to return after WrestleMania 35 to feud for the women's tag team titles, but Nikki's injury at the time prevented it from happening. But now, with both sisters being cleared, it has the tag team titles talk starting up again. The Bellas are Hall of Fame members and massive stars outside of WWE, but some fans will still put up the argument of, what about the younger talent? You're skipping the line. And that could be true if they come after the singles titles. You can definitely make the argument if that's the case. But if they come directly for the women's tag team division, then they won't be skipping the line because there is no line in that division. It's a depleted division that's always empty and always has one entire team in the division, and that is whoever holds the actual tag team titles. It's pretty sad when there's women tag team titles, but no actual women's tag team division. So taking that into consideration in that sense, the Bellas would actually be a big help to that division. They will have a lot of eyes watching them when they're first challenging for the titles. And then of course, whatever team dethrones the Bellas as tag team champions could be treated as a big deal because they would have just defeated 2 Hall of Fame members with titles on the line. That's quite the accomplishment there. So bringing in some legendary tag teams into the women's tag team division like the Bellas, like Trish and Lita, and so on, may actually be a big deal because it can at least get things going for a bit for that empty division. Alexa Bliss did return at Elimination Chamber, but at the same time, it sort of feels like she didn't because that appearance didn't give us any new info of her character, her direction, or her feud. And like we talked about before, following that Elimination Chamber return loss with Alexa also missing Raw, and everything is even more confusing now. It would appear that there's no clear plans for her at this moment, but hopefully things change in the coming weeks. Fans just can't get over the fact that we saw so many weeks of therapy sessions and basically this entire miniseries. But there were never any plans set in stone for after Alexa returned. It's bizarre, it's pretty crazy, but that's just how things are. You get accustomed to it over time. Sometimes it'll look like they're fully invested and know where they're going with the story, and then you eventually find out that, oh, okay, they actually didn't know what they were going with and had no real plans after all. That's sort of where we are right now with Alexa Bliss. Everyone thought that something big was planned, but turns out there was nothing there at all. Some fans were really upset with Alexa missing Raw. Some suggested that WWE should have at least thrown Alexa on the big screen for a 60-second segment for her to explain her intentions and what she plans to do now that she's back. Basically just acknowledging her Elimination Chamber return in any way, but that didn't happen. So today, let's dive a bit deeper to the possible feuds for Alexa that we briefly mentioned in the past. Starting off with Nikki ASH. Sure, there's a lot of history and connection there between Alexa and Nikki, but like some fans have pointed out, Nikki really isn't much of a big respectable opponent right now. She's been doing a lot of losing lately, and in this feud with Alexa Bliss, obviously Nikki would be the one taking another pin. So maybe it's smarter to keep them apart for now. Liv Morgan is a very popular choice to do something with Alexa Bliss. Some fans have suggested a one-on-one feud. Other fans have suggested that Alexa should take Liv under her wing and lead Liv to her first WWE Championship and win the tag titles together. So that's another possibility. And then, the most credible opponent for Alexa on Raw outside of Becky and Bianca would be Rhea Ripley. Rhea has been pulling off some big wins lately and actually has some great momentum going. So if Alexa and Rhea get into something together with each other, it'll be interesting because you have Alexa coming off that return momentum and Rhea coming off that momentum from winning all these big matches. Combine that with her history of Rhea tossing Alexa Bliss out of the Royal Rumble match a few years ago, and maybe you could really have a strong non-title feud there for the Raw Women's Division. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.